Harry Potter, My Magic Overturns Hogwarts. Chapter 1. Terry Street, a mole town. The people who live here are all rich people. At least, the buildings on Trice Street are all villas. The houses are large and beautiful, and there is a very nice garden. In the dark night, a figure quickly flashed across the air, and under the light of the moon, it came from far and near, and then flew into the window on the second floor of a villa. It was a crow. Interestingly, the crow then changed into a human. This is an 18-year-old boy, with blue eyes, like the waters of the Aegean Sea, deep blue and deep, and golden hair, not carefully groomed, some curly, some hanging down lazily, covering half of his body. A handsome face. However, with the purple robe, height of 1.75 meters, and aristocratic temperament, Kate Lyle has become the beauty benchmark of Trice Street. Kate Lyle took off the robe she was wearing, revealing a European-style black and white suit. She snapped her fingers, and all the lights in the villa were lit up. Then came to the stove. Kate Lyle pointed towards the stove. A magic power surged, and the firewood in the stove immediately burned. Hey! There was a light knocking sound on the glass of the window. Kate Lyle glanced at it, moved her finger slightly. The window was opened, an owl flew in immediately, and a letter floated into Kate Lyle's hand. Dear Kate Lyle, close. Kate Lyle looked at the handwriting of these words, smiled, and said, Dumbledore, old guy, still not giving up? Kate Lyle, formerly named Sunning, is a proper traveler. Coming to this world means activating the gold finger, and inheriting all the magic inheritance of otherworld magic masters, becoming a magic master. Therefore, whether it is magic, potions, or even magic equipment, he is omnipotent. Yes, after he came to this world, he was invincible. And just 3 years ago, he was lucky enough to meet Dumbledore in a special place, and at this time, Dumbledore discovered his strength, and was even shocked by his creation, and has been working hard to invite him to join Hogwarts and become Hogwarts. Hereby teaching, dear Kate Lyle, as an old friend, I still solemnly invite you to join Hogwarts and become a great teacher in this school. I can give you enough rights, as long as you are willing to show your talents and bring more benefits to the wizarding world. Come new magic. Your old friend, Dumbledore. Kate Lyle looked at the contents of the letter, smiled, then glanced at the owl that hadn't left, and said with a smile, little guy, are you waiting for my letter? Owl nodded, looking at Kate Lyle's gaze, with a bit of expectation. Kate Lyle smiled and waved her hand. A subtle magical power surged, and a pen floated up on the table beside her, and then she quickly wrote on a piece of paper. In just a moment, the piece of paper was folded and put into the envelope. A red flame flickered on the envelope, but it didn't hurt the paper at all. The small envelope was sealed and floated to the owl. However, the owl received the envelope, but still did not leave. Seeing this, Kate Lyle smiled and said, you little brat, you don't want to throw an eagle if you don't see a rabbit. Forget it, it's a reward for you. A box was opened, and a thumb-sized bottle flew out of it, and the bottle contained a blue liquid. Covered by magic power, the cork was opened, and the liquid inside floated out immediately. Seeing this, the owl quickly spread its wings, flew over, and swallowed the liquid in 2 or 3 strokes, as if seeing its favorite food. This is a bottle of magic potion, and it is also a very high-quality magic potion. Since a certain time, he conducted an experiment with this owl and let it drink the magic potion, and this owl fell in love with it. At the same time, this owl also has magic power in its body. An owl with magical powers, not transformed by a wizard, which is very interesting and has never been seen before. For this owl, Dumbledore was full of interest, and sighed again and again. This is very magical. At least this owl looks smaller, but it is very fast and very powerful. Its claws and mouth can cause bad luck if you are not careful. The owl left, and Kate Lyle was in the study, reading a book quietly. These books record all kinds of magic and forbidden magic in the magical world, as well as various things about the magical world. Hogwarts. Dumbledore watched the returning owl with a smile on his face. Hee, lovely Caesar, you are finally back. Let me see if you can bring me good news. Caesar is the name of an owl, which is Kate Lyle's name. It was supposed to be loyal to Dumbledore, but since it got benefits from Kate Lyle, it immediately switched to Kate Lyle. For this, Dumbledore was only slightly sad for a while, and then he didn't care. Dumbledore caught the incoming letter, took out the letter inside, looked at the words on the envelope. Dumbledore laughed out loud. Oh, my God, after 3 years of begging, Kate is finally willing to be a teacher at Hogwarts. Let's see, with Kate as a powerful wizard, which academy should I arrange him for? Kate's strength is unbelievable. That amazing magic, very aggressive and destructive. Maybe Slytherin would be a good fit for him. However, Harry is coming to school too, and his character should be assigned to Gryffindor. Well, maybe I can let everyone come to Kate's class, of course, on a voluntary basis. This is a brand new magic. However, I believe that everyone will like it. Oh, poor one. Oh, it's Professor Quirrell. You have competition. The owl standing on a certain bookshelf looked at the excited Dumbledore. His eyes were full of disdain and even a little irritated. This old bastard is too boring. Finally, when the owl was getting impatient, Dumbledore sent it a letter. The owl couldn't wait to leave. Back on Terry Street, after the owl gave the envelope to Kate Lyle, it stayed quietly in a corner, quietly watching Kate Lyle's quiet reading, watching his handsome and aristocratic face look. Sure enough, Kate Lyle is more comfortable and quiet here. That bad old man Dumbledore was still too skinny, like an old child who couldn't grow up. Chapter 2. Harry, it's a magical world, at least your parents think so. From now on, you will be a magician. Of course, before becoming an official magician, you still need to prepare some things. All students who come to the school must be equipped with, like a standard size 2 Greek cauldron. If you want, you can also bring an owl with you. He can deliver letters for you. He is very loyal. Or if you like, you can bring a cat or a toad. If you have to choose between the two, I suggest you choose a cat. At least, a cat will be cuter than a toad. I don't like cats though, I'm allergic. On the bustling street, 2 figures, one big and one small, walked among the crowd. A little guy with glasses, cute and handsome, his name is Harry Potter, and the big, scruffy, bearded man named Rubeus Hagrid, wearing a heavy overcoat, looked like a homeless man on the streets of England. Hagrid found Harry and took Harry away from his uncle's house. Along the way, Hagrid and Harry talked a lot. For example, just now, Hagrid was like a crow, his mouth didn't seem to stop. For magic, Harry was full of expectations, and at the same time, he didn't want to stay at his uncle's house any longer, living in a house that made him feel dark. So, for what Hagrid had to say, Harry didn't feel the slightest bit of impatience. On the contrary, he listened carefully and occasionally offered his own thoughts. Hagrid, can you find it in London? Harry looked at Hagrid expectantly and excitedly, and asked. Hearing this, Hagrid lowered his body slightly, smiled exaggeratedly in his eyes, and said, we can always find it. For example, let's keep walking. Harry heard Hagrid's words and was filled with anticipation again. After a while, the two came to the door of a bar. The Leaky Cauldron. Hagrid, I'm still a minor, so I can't drink, Harry said, looking at the bar door. Hagrid laughed out loud when he heard Harry's words, and then said seriously, yes, you are right, you are not yet of age, so you cannot drink. However, I'm an adult, I can drink. After Hagrid finished speaking, he opened the black door and walked in. The Leaky Cauldron is a small, dilapidated hotel and bar in Charing Cross, London. Nestled between a large bookstore and a record store. The Leaky Cauldron isn't part of Diagon Alley, but it's a bridge between these two worlds. Harry walked into the bar with Hagrid, looking at the people drinking and chatting inside. He didn't know what to do. These people are all wizards. He doesn't drink and doesn't like to drink. However, the huge Hagrid seems to be very interested in drinking. Hey, Hagrid, is it still the same? The owner of the bar, named Tom, a bald middle-aged man, saw Hagrid coming in, and shouted with a smile. No, thank you for your kindness, old Tom. I'm working for Hogwarts. Hagrid laughed, although he wanted to sit down and have a drink, but Hagrid didn't have the task Dumbledore gave him. So, Hagrid looked at Harry, who was a little silly and didn't know what to do, and said with a smile, this is Harry, and I need to help him buy some school supplies." Hagrid's voice sounded, and the whole bar fell into a brief silence. "Oh my God, he turned out to be Harry Potter." The bar owner Tom was the first to react, and couldn't help but be shocked. Immediately, the others looked at Harry Potter and whispered. And some people welcomed Harry Potter very much, so they stretched out their hands towards Harry, held each other tightly, and said welcome back. Even, some people were excited to meet Harry Potter. At this moment, Harry Potter was even more confused. "What does welcome back mean? Why are you so enthusiastic? Do we know each other?" It was also at this time that the door to the leaky cauldron was opened. A figure also walked in, and immediately attracted everyone's attention. "Oh, my God, what a handsome, aristocratic gentleman this is!" Cordelie, the woman who couldn't believe that she could see Harry Potter in the bar, had a nympho-like face when she saw the boy who came in, and walked up to the boy quickly, and said with a smile, "Hello, my name is Cordelie." Kate Lyle looked at the woman in front of her, took off the purple high hat she wore on her head, put it on her chest, lowered her head slightly, and kept the aristocratic etiquette, and said with a smile, "Hello, Mrs. Cordelie." Cordelie listened to Kate Lyle's magnetic voice, and looked at the handsome face taking off her hat at this time. For a moment, like a girl-like nympho, she held her cheeks and fell to the side intoxicated. Kate Lyle smiled, then nodded to everyone in the bar before putting on her hat. Harry Potter looked at Kate Lyle enviously. His handsome and mature face, as well as his aristocratic attire and demeanor, are simply the standard of a male god. Kate Lyle walked towards Harry, held out her hand, and said with a smile, "The symbol of lightning, the boy who lived, you should be Harry Potter." "Hello, my name is Kate Lyle." Harry Potter didn't expect that Kate Lyle would find him and call out his name. Although he was a little surprised, Harry didn't panic. Instead, he stretched out his hand and smiled cutely. He said, "Hello, Mr. Kate Lyle. Nice to meet you. You are brave and smart at the same time." Cottrell said with a smile, "Thank you. You are handsome and will become my idol." Harry Potter responded with a smile. For Kate Lyle, especially when faced with that spring-like smile, the whole person is also relaxed, and the mood is inexplicably much better. Hagrid looked at Kate Lyle thoughtfully, feeling like he had never heard of this name before. "Harry Potter, I'm very glad to see you." A man in a shawl, a bit shy, like a woman, clenched his hands, and walked over. His voice was trembling with excitement, and it seemed to be too much. Just as nervous, he smiled at Harry Potter. Hagrid looked at the person coming, a little surprised, then smiled and said, "Hello, Professor. I didn't seem to see you just now. Your appearance is a bit surprising. Harry, this is Professor Quirrell. At Hogwarts, he will teach you defense against the dark arts." Upon hearing this, Harry Potter stretched out his hand and said with a smile, "I'm honored, Professor Quirrell." After hearing Hagrid's introduction, Kate Lyle showed a smile on her face, and she looked at Professor Quirrell with more amusement. If I remember correctly, in the letter of appointment that Dumbledore gave him, his position was opposite to that of Professor Quirrell. Chapter 3. Professor Quirrell didn't expect Hagrid to speak so funny that he was still a little uneasy. But the good news is, Hagrid was really just kidding. Magic is a wonderful, terrifying subject, and I don't think you may need it, Potter. The trembling and stammering voice made Harry wonder whether Professor Quirrell was excited or nervous, which made him feel a little embarrassed. However, Harry still smiled. This made Professor Quirrell slightly relaxed. Kate Lyle looked at Professor Quirrell, smiled slightly, and said, "Professor Quirrell, you don't need to be so nervous. Harry is a kind child. I think you should understand." When Professor Quirrell heard this, he looked at Kate Lyle, the tension on his face eased a bit, and he became calmer, but he still seemed to be stammering. "Yes, you are quite right, Mr. Kate. Harry is a kind boy." Harry heard the conversation between the two and smiled at Kate Lyle. He loved hearing Kate Lyle's voice, especially the compliments on him. Hagrid also recognized Harry Potter's kindness very much, smiled in satisfaction, then patted Harry on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "Good Harry, we should go. There are still many things to buy." Harry nodded, and then smiled at Kate Lyle and the others. "Goodbye." Kate Lyle smiled slightly and said, "We are all together. At least I will go to that place." Harry was a little puzzled when he heard this. "What is that place?" Hagrid glanced at Kate Lyle, thought for a while and said, "Are you a student in the new semester?" When Harry heard this, he looked at Kate Lyle with some anticipation. This gentle, handsome and sunny big brother, if he is a student of Hogwarts, then life should be very interesting, right? "Hey, why do you find it interesting?" Harry Potter didn't understand why he thought this way, and felt a little strange. Kate Lyle nodded and said, "That's right." Kate Lyle didn't tell them that she was a newly recruited professor at Hogwarts School, so she responded casually. Hagrid chuckled, and then said happily, "Well, then you are really an older student. With your height and age, you should be a graduate. However, it doesn't matter. Hogwarts welcomes all potential children. Now, I'm going to take Harry to buy his school supplies. Let's go in together." Kate Lyle smiled and nodded, then followed Hagrid and Harry into the leaky cauldron. Professor Quirrell looked at Harry's back with a somewhat dull expression, looking unfriendly. Immediately, I saw Kate Lyle's back, especially at the corner, and Kate Lyle's eyes met, although it was only for a moment. Professor Quirrell clearly saw the smile on the corner of Kate Lyle's mouth, which had a deep meaning. "This kid looks a little unfriendly." Professor Quirrell looked at the empty space and murmured, "The entrance of Diagon Alley is on the brick wall of the small patio behind the bar. If you hit one of the bricks correctly, count 3 bricks above the trash can, and count 2 bricks horizontally, and a door leading to Diagon Alley will be opened. Open for you. Of course, if you have Floo powder, you only need to read the place you need to go, and stand in the furnace wall and sprinkle the Floo powder under your feet, and you can fly to the place you want to go in an instant." Diagon Alley is a long cobbled street where you can find all kinds of quirky and exciting shops and restaurants. Generally, little wizards will come here to buy school supplies before entering Hogwarts. Diagon Alley is the busiest commercial street in the UK's magic world. The land space here is becoming increasingly scarce, and the land price is increasing day by day. But it cannot be denied that this place is very prosperous. As long as you open a shop here, you will definitely make a lot of money. Look, our kind Harry is so famous. Just hearing your name is full of admiration and welcome for you." Opening the back door of the bar, Hagrid took out his magic wand and a pink, somewhat fancy umbrella, and said to Harry flauntingly. Harry asked with some puzzlement, "Why am I so famous? How do those people know who I am?" Hearing this, Hagrid said with a sad expression, "Maybe it's not suitable for me to tell you, Harry." After Hagrid finished speaking, he took his umbrella and knocked on the wall. Kate Lyle walked in behind Harry and said with a smile, "Because you have a pair of parents who love you, especially your mother. In addition, you are also a lucky boy. Of course, they know you, and more come from for that name." Harry heard Kate Lyle's words that it was related to his parents, and curious about what that title was, so he asked, "Mr. Kate, do you know the reason?" Hagrid, who opened the door, frowned upon hearing Kate Lyle's words, and didn't want Kate Lyle to continue talking. However, he didn't have time to stop her because Kate Lyle said it. "Yes, the most important reason why you are so famous is that you are a boy who survived Voldemort's death curse, and you were just a baby at the time, so you were called the one who survived the catastrophe boy. You are a miracle," Kate Lyle said to Harry with a smile. "Voldemort." Harry's face turned pale, and he trembled a little when he said these 3 words. He was very clear about what the 3 words Voldemort meant to him, and he was also terrified because of it. Hagrid looked at Harry at this time. Although he was a little dissatisfied with Kate Lyle, he still comforted Harry and said, "Harry, don't be too nervous. Although he is terrifying, he has already been killed. Of course, you need to become stronger. In this way, those who know you can no longer pay attention to your identity, but your strength." Kate Lyle smiled slightly and said, "Mr. Hagrid is very right. So, Harry, I am looking forward to the day when you will become stronger. In a sense, you are still a savior. I hope your life at Hogwarts will not be very leisurely." Harry was comforted by Hagrid and Kate Lyle, and quickly calmed down. At the same time, he said to Kate Lyle seriously, Hagrid, Kate, I will work hard to become stronger and become a powerful wizard. Hagrid listened to Harry's words and smiled with satisfaction. Hagrid, who laughed out loud, was bold and very interesting. It made Harry laugh too. Kate Lyle smiled gently, without losing her demeanor and etiquette, and the aristocratic temperament was also fully displayed on him. So, welcome to Diagon Alley, Harry. Hagrid knocked on the brick with precision, and the gate of Diagon Alley appeared in front of Harry Potter. Kate Lyle smiled at Harry and said, I need to go to Gringotts, how about you? So do we, Kate. Harry smiled happily when he heard that. That's really fate, Kate Lyle said with a smile on the corner of her mouth. Chapter 4. The bustling Diagon Alley is full of the old-time style, which is very different from the modern urban style, which makes Harry full of curiosity and interest. There are already many young wizards who are about to enter school here, accompanied by their families. They are starting to prepare their own school supplies. This gave Harry, who had always felt that he had no friends, hope. Is this Diagon Alley? It's a little bit more than I thought, but it looks like fun. Hey Hagrid, is this the crucible I need to buy? Walking into Diagon Alley, Harry immediately spotted the Partridge's Cauldron shop, which was the closest to the Leaky Cauldron. Looking at the cauldron at the door, Harry asked Hagrid with a smile. Hearing this, Hagrid laughed and said, that's right, this is the crucible you need to use when refining potions. But before that, we need to go to Gringotts, which is the second safest place in the world after Hogwarts. We need to go there to collect some galleons who bought supplies here. Coins in the modern world don't work here, Harry. What is Garin? Harry asked curiously. Galleons are gold coins in the wizarding world, and merchants like this kind of shiny gold very much, Kate Lyle said with a smile. Except for Garin, it's Zyke, and finally Nat. Cycles are silver coins. 1 galleon can be exchanged for 17 sickles. Nats are copper coins, and 1 psycho can be exchanged for 29 nats. Believe me, your parents left you a very rich asset, which is enough for you to squander. After hearing Kate Lyle's words, Hagrid took another deep look at Kate Lyle, and said somewhat unkindly, Mr. Kate, excuse me, how do you know that Harry has a lot of money? Kate Lyle looked at Hagrid and said with a smile, Mr. Hagrid, trust me, I have no ill intentions towards Harry. Although Hagrid is a big and rude man, he is still a giant of 3.5 meters, but his heart is very thin. Regarding Kate Lyle, he still maintains a bit of vigilance, and at the same time, he is thinking of Kate Lyle's name in his mind, always feeling like he has heard of it somewhere. I trust Mr. Kate. Harry looked at Kate Lyle and laughed. Kate Lyle smiled and said, thank you for your trust, Harry. The excitement of Diagon Alley, as well as some outlandish things, made Harry's eyes shine, and at the same time he was full of interest. Various owls, wizard hats, and the flying machine of Nimbus 2000 and so on. Gringotts. It is also the only magic bank in the wizarding world. As Hagrid said, this is the second safest place besides Hogwarts, so wizards are willing to deposit their gold and silver treasures in Gringotts. Gringotts is run by a group of goblins, and these goblins stipulate that only the goblins can lead them to sit on the minor cart that rotates underground to reach the vault, and only the goblins can open the vault and take out the deposited property. They always have their own way of preventing intruders, and have a kind of their own rules to bind each other to prevent their peers from revealing bank secrets. Welcome. At the gate of Gringotts, 3 goblin guards in scarlet and gold uniforms stood on either side, bowing and saluting. They look diminutive, but there is a price to be paid for underestimating these goblin guards. Through the second door, Harry had some special thoughts about the bank. He also saw the sentence on the door and couldn't help but read it. Come in, stranger, but you have to be careful. What will happen if you are greedy? You will be punished blindly, and you will be punished most severely. So if you want to take it from our underground vault, a copy that never belonged to you, elf, thief, you have been warned. Beware not treasure, but evil. Kate Lyle stood beside Harry and listened quietly until Harry finished reading, then smiled and said, this is a warning from the elves of the Magic Bank to anyone who has unfriendly thoughts. It is said that there is a fire dragon living in the Magic Bank. He is very powerful. At least, He only needs a flame, and he can easily burn you into dust blown by the wind." Harry heard Kate Lyle's words. His eyes sparkled, and he said in shock, "Wow, that's cool. I don't think I'm going to be kissed by a dragon." Kate Lyle heard Harry's words, and raised her eyebrows slightly. "Hot kisses? Harry, is that what should come out of your mouth?" Hearing Harry's words, Hagrid turned around and walked over, patted Harry's head, and said, "Harry, you are still a minor now. You don't need those thoughts. Even if you are an adult, you can't ask for the warmth of a fire dragon kiss. That's pretty damning. Unless you have more magic than Dumbledore." Harry was a little embarrassed. He understood what he said, and it was misinterpreted by Hagrid and Harry. In the spacious marble hall, there are hundreds of goblins, all dressed uniformly, sitting behind the long counter, registering carefully and earnestly. They are very busy. Some use a balance to weigh coins, some use eyepieces to detect gems, and some are checking certain materials and stamping them roughly. Harry looked at the elves and said in surprise, "Hagrid, there are a lot of elves here, but they are very busy." "Yes, they're elves, and they're smart, but they're not very friendly, especially when they're busy. So, you'd better follow me and don't disturb them." Harry nodded and followed Hagrid to an elf. It was an elf with glasses, a long nose, and big long ears, reminded by Hagrid, which made Harry think that they really seemed a little unfriendly. "Good morning, we need some money from Mr. Harry Potter's vault, Mr. Elf." Hagrid smiled at the elf. Hearing this, the elf looked at Harry Potter and said, "Then Mr. Harry Potter, have you brought your key?" Although Harry had already seen the elf, but at this moment, facing the elf's face when looking down, as well as the tone of the speech, and the teeth showing a little blood red when speaking, Harry felt a little flustered. But Harry still overcame the little fear in his heart, and said, "The key?" Because Harry didn't know what the key was, he was a little confused. Hagrid was taken aback for a moment, then realized, and said with a funny smile, "The key? Oh, it seems to be here, let me look for it." When the elf heard Hagrid's words, he looked at Hagrid. After a while, Hagrid found the key, and smiled at the elf. "It's so light that I ignore its weight, and I can't feel its existence. Besides, it's too small, some big hands can't hold it." After a pause, Hagrid then took out an envelope from his overcoat, handed it to the elf, and said to the elf somewhat mysteriously, "This is something that Dumbledore needs my help to handle. It's about that thing in Vault 713.